My name is William Garrison, and this is the story of my life. I was born on December 10th, 1805, in Newburyport, Massachusetts. I was one of 3 children of a family who was abandoned by their father, Abijah Garrison, in 1808. My family and I were being supported by our mother, Frances Maria Lloyd. My childhood was rough since we were so close to poverty. As I got older, I was an apprentice to a shoemaker, a cabinet maker, and in 1818 I helped the Newburyport Herald. In 1829, I became the co-editor of the National Philanthropist, a paper geared towards temperance. After a meeting with Benjamin Lundy, a Quaker anti-slavery editor of the Genius of Universal Emancipation, I was offered a position to work for his newspaper. Abolition soon became my new priority. In my first writing for the Genius of Universal Emancipation, I wrote about the immediate and complete emancipation and the futility of colonization to Africa. These writings got me thrown in prison for libel. After 7 weeks in prison, a New York philanthropist, Arthur Tappan, paid my fine. After my time in prison, I began The Liberator. My first issue was released the first day of the year 1831. One of the first things I wrote was a warning about my paper. I told the readers I would not take this subject lightly, and I would explain the whole truth. I said I will be heard. In later issues, I wrote about the need for equality for African Americans, and The Liberator soon became the leading vehicle of anti-slavery thought. In 1831, I helped found and establish the New England Anti-Slavery Society. I served as the secretary and helped draft its constitution. The following year, I wrote Thoughts on African Colonization, which attacked the concept of sending freed slaves to Africa. 1833, I also helped launch the American Anti-Slavery Society in Philadelphia and wrote its Declaration of Sentiments. The American Anti-Slavery Society became the largest and most influential abolition organizations in the United States. Some other people that were involved in the American Anti-Slavery Society included Theodore Weld, who helped convert thousands to the abolition cause in the 1830s, Wendell Phillips, a great orator that spoke about abolition, and Lucretia Mott, a Quaker minister who supported abolition and women's rights. The World Anti-Slavery Convention was held in London in 1840. I refused to attend, however, because of the exclusion of women at the convention. In 1841, I was honored as the president of the American Anti-Slavery Society. I continued my attacks against the government and its constitution, as well as organized religion, because they sanctioned slavery. On January 27, 1843, I said the Constitution was a covenant with death and an agreement with hell. On July 4, 1854, I publicly burned a copy of the United States Constitution because I thought it was a pro-slavery document. In 1859, John Brown's Harbor Ferry raid occurred. Despite my opinion of nonviolence, I supported the rebellion against slavery because I thought it was necessary to the abolition cause and the idea of emancipation. Soon after, I began having health as well as financial issues. These prevented me from being as active during the 5 years leading up to the Civil War. However, I had managed to write The Infidelity of Abolition in 1860. After the Civil War, in 1865, I announced the end of my abolitionist work and believed the American Anti-Slavery Society had done its job. I proposed the dissolution of the society, however the group continued under the leadership of Wendell Phillips until 1870. After 35 years and 1,820 issues, in 1865 I ceased the publication of The Liberator after the ratification of the 13th Amendment. About 15 years later, I died in New York City on May 24, 1879, at age 73.